The greatest trick ever played on humanity was not convincing people that money was impossible to obtain. It was convincing that poverty was a result of bad luck. That some people are simply born wealthy, some are born poor, some are destined to struggle forever, and some mysterious force decides who rises and who remains invisible. But history reveals something far more uncomfortable. Many people are not trapped by a lack of opportunity. They are trapped by invisible rules they were taught to obey. Rules that sound moral, rules that sound safe, rules that sound like wisdom. Behind those rules are psychological chains that quietly destroy ambition, wealth, and power. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something about human nature that most people refuse to accept. People do not always lose because they are weak. They lose because they misunderstand the game they are playing. In his world, kingdoms collapsed not only because armies were defeated, they collapsed because leaders failed to understand power. The same principle applies to wealth. Most people think becoming financially successful is about earning more money. But Machiavelli would have asked a different question. Do you understand the forces controlling your decisions before you attempt to control your future? Because the person who cannot control their own instincts will always be controlled by someone who understands them. And hidden inside human psychology are three forbidden laws, three principles that most people ignore because they challenge everything they have been taught. The first law reveals why working harder does not guarantee wealth. The second reveals why most people destroy their own opportunities before they even recognize them. And the third reveals the difference between people who create power and people who spend their entire lives chasing it. These laws are uncomfortable. They challenge your identity. They challenge your beliefs. And most importantly, they force you to ask a terrifying question. What if the reason I'm not where I want to be is not because against me, but because I have been playing by the wrong rules? Throughout history, every society has had an invisible hierarchy. There were kings and servants, generals and soldiers, owners and workers, creators and consumers. The technology of the world changed, but human behavior remained really consistent. The powerful understood certain principles, the powerless ignored them. Machiavelli studied this reality during one of the most chaotic periods in European history. Born in Florence during the Renaissance, he watched rulers rise and fall through manipulation, fear, loyalty, strategy, and perception. He noticed something disturbing. People often believed they were making independent choices, when in reality, they were responding to invisible forces. Centuries later, science give names to these forces: cognitive, social conditioning, status competition, loss aversion, the comfort zone, the scarcity mindset. Human beings are not perfectly rational creatures. We are emotional creatures who creational explanations afterward. This is why many people repeat financial mistakes even when they know better. They are not losing because they lack information. They are losing because their psychology is programmed for survival, not for wealth creation. The average person is taught one financial philosophy: study hard, get a job, work consistently, wait for retirement. This advice is not completely wrong, but is incomplete because it creates a person who can survive, not necessarily a person who can build power. A worker asks, how can I earn more for my time? A wealth creator asks, how can I build something that produces value all of my time? A poor mindset asks, how much can I consume today? A wealthy mindset asks, what can I build today that increases my future freedom? The difference is not intelligence. The difference is perception, and perception determines action. Action determines results. Results determine destiny. The first forbidden law begins with the most dangerous illusion of all. Law 1. The law of leverage. Time alone will never make you powerful. The majority of people exchange their most valuable resource for money. That resource is time. Every morning, millions of people wake up, prepare themselves, travel somewhere, perform tasks, and exchange hours of their life for a paycheck. There is nothing wrong with honest work. Work creates civilization. But there is a hidden danger. When your income depends entirely on your personal hours, your potential becomes mathematically limited. You can only work so many hours. You can only have so much energy. You can only sell the same day once. Machiavelli understood that power comes from multiplication. A ruler does not become powerful by personally doing every task. A ruler becomes powerful by creating systems, alliances, and structures that multiply influence. Wealth follows the same law. The poor often think, if I want more money, I need to work harder. The wealthy ask, how can my effort continue producing results after the effort is finished? This is the psychology of leverage. Leverage means using something beyond yourself to amplify your output. A book can influence millions of people decades after an author writes it. A business system can generate value while the owner sleeps. An investment can produce returns without requiring daily labor. Technology allows one person to reach millions. The internet allows one idea to travel across the world instantly. But many people never use leverage because they are trapped in the psychology of immediate reward. They want guaranteed results. They want certainty. They want safety. And this creates the first great divide between those who accumulate wealth and those who remain financially trapped. The poor mindset seeks security first. The wealthy mindset seeks opportunity first. The psychology behind the first law, behavioral psychologists describe a powerful mental bias called present bias. Humans naturally value immediate rewards more than future rewards. A person prefers $100 today over $150 a month. They prefer comfort today over freedom tomorrow. They prefer entertainment today over building skills for the future. This ancient instinct helped humans survive. When food was uncertain, immediate consumption was logical. But in modern society, the same instinct can become a prison. The person who constantly chooses today sacrifices tomorrow. The person who sacrifices today creates tomorrow. This is why wealth often appears unfair, because people see the final result, but they do not see the years of delayed gratification behind it. They see the successful entrepreneur. They do not see the thousands of hours spent learning. They see the investor. They do not see decades of patience. They see the person with freedom. They do not see the years they spent building systems. Success is often invisible before it becomes obvious. During the Renaissance, one family transformed Florence into one of the most influential cities in the world. The Medici family did not become powerful simply because they worked harder than everyone else. They understood leverage. They built financial systems. They created networks. They influenced politics. They invested in knowledge, art, and relationships. Their power came from multiplying their influence. They understood a principle Machiavelli repeatedly observed. Power belongs to those who understand systems, not merely those who work inside them. The average person asks, how do I earn more money? The strategic person asks, what system can I build, own, or influence? That single change in thinking separates employees from builders, followers from leaders, consumers from creators. Ask yourself, are you building something that grows without you? Are you developing skills that increase your future value? Are you creating assets? Or are you only exchanging time for temporary rewards? Because if every dollar you earn requires another hour of your life, you are not building freedom. You are renting your own existence. The first forbidden law is simple. Depend only on effort. Multiply your effort. Because effort without leverage creates exhaustion. But effort combined with leverage creates power, and power creates choices. But understanding leverage is only the beginning, because even people who understand law often fail, because they make a second mistake. They chase opportunities before understanding perception. And Machiavelli knew perception could determine victory before the battle even began, which leads to the second forbidden law, Lao Tuo, the law of perception. People do not reward reality. They reward what they believe is real. One of Machiavelli's most controversial observations was that perception often matters more than intention. Human beings rarely see the world objectively. They see interpretations, images, symbols. The mind creates shortcuts, and those shortcuts influence decisions. In wealth, this principle is everywhere. People often judge success through visible signals, a luxury car, a prestigious title, a social reputation, but they often cannot see the invisible foundations: discipline, knowledge, strategic thinking, patience, Emotional control. This creates one of the greatest financial traps in modern society. Confusions with reality. Many people spend money trying to look wealthy instead of using money to become wealthy. They buy symbols of success before creating the foundation of success. They want the image of power without the responsibility of power. Psychologists call this behavior social comparison theory. Humans naturally compare themselves to others. But in the modern world, comparison has become weaponized. People constantly see carefully selected images of success. They compare their ordinary reality with someone else's edited highlight. Then they make emotional decisions. They buy things they cannot afford. They chase lifestyles they cannot sustain. They sacrifice long-term wealth to maintain short-term status. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. A ruler who focuses only on appearing powerful while ignoring actual strength eventually collapses. The same happens financially. A person who appears rich but owns nothing is fragile. A person who appears ordinary but owns productive assets is powerful. The world often rewards perception, but wise people understand the difference between perception and reality. Throughout history, leaders have fallen because they misunderstood appearances. They believed admiration was the same as loyalty. They believed wealth displayed was the same as wealth possessed. They believed reputation could replace competence, but reality eventually exposes illusion. Financial life follows the same pattern. Someone can look successful online while secretly drowning in debt. Someone can drive an expensive car while having no financial security. Someone can appear ordinary while quietly building an empire. The question is not, what does this person own? The question is, what does this person control? Before making any financial decision, am I buying this because it increases my power or because I want others to believe I have power? That single question can save years of financial mistakes. Because the poor often purchase symbols, the wealthy purchase freedom. The poor chase admiration. The wealthy chase independence. The poor ask, how can I look successful? The wealthy ask, how can I become impossible to control? But perception alone is not enough, because even people who understand leverage, even people who understand perception, still fail because they ignore the final law. The law holds every empire, every business, and every human life. The law of power itself. Law 3. The law of control. The person who cannot themselves will wise be controlled by someone else. Throughout history, every empire eventually discovered the same truth. The greatest battles are rarely fought against external enemies. They are fought against internal weaknesses. A kingdom can have powerful armies, massive wealth, advanced technology, but if its leaders become arrogant, impatient, emotional, and careless, collapse becomes inevitable. The same law applies to personal wealth. Most people believe their financial problems come from external forces, the economy, their employer, their background, their circumstances. Sometimes these factors are real, but hidden beneath the financial struggles is a deeper enemy, a lack of self-control. Machiavelli understood that the greatest weakness of a ruler was not having enemies. Every ruler has enemies. The greatest weakness was being controlled by impulses. A leader controlled by anger can be manipulated. A leader controlled by ego can be destroyed. A leader controlled by pleasure can be weakened. And a person controlled by instant gratification can never build lasting wealth. Because wealth requires something most people hate: delayed war. The invisible war inside the human mind every day. There is a battle happening inside the human brain. One part of you wants comfort. One part of you wants growth. One wants entertainment. One part wants achievement. One part wants immediate pleasure. Another part understands the future consequences. Psychologists call this conflict temporal discounting. The human brain naturally reduces the perceived value of future rewards. The future version of yourself feels like a stranger. You know that saving money will help you later. You know learning a valuable skill will create opportunities later. You know discipline will improve your future. But the emotional brain whispers, why sacrifice now? Why not enjoy today? Why make life harder? And millions of people listen, not because they're incapable, because they have never learned to command themselves. The ancient Stoic philosophers understood this battle thousands of years ago. They believed freedom did not begin with controlling the world. It began with controlling yourself. A person who controls their emotions cannot easily be manipulated. A person who controls their desires cannot easily be enslaved. A person who controls their attention cannot easily be distracted. This is why self-mastery is the foundation. Well, because before you control money, you must control the person who handles the money. The pleaser trap. Modern society has created something previous generations never experienced. Unlimited distraction. Entertainment is available instantly. Food is available instantly. Shopping is available instantly. Approval is available instantly. A person can spend hours consuming information without creating anything valuable. This creates a dangerous psychological pattern: consumption without creation. The average person spends their energy consuming what others create. Successful people spend their energy creating what others consume. One person watches, another person builds. One person follows trends, another person creates trends. One person, what can I get? Another asks, what can I eat? This difference appears small, but over decades it creates completely different lives. Historical example: Machiavelli's view of power. Machiavelli lived during a time when Florence was surrounded by political chaos. Power shifted constantly. Friends became enemies. Enemies became allies. In this environment, emotional decisions were dangerous. A ruler who reacted emotionally could lose everything. Machiavelli observed that successful leaders understood one critical principle: they separated feelings from decisions. This does not mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming the master of your emotions. A person without emotional control becomes predictable, and predictable people are easy to influence. The person who can make decisions despite fear, despite discomfort, despite uncertainty, possesses a form of power that money alone cannot buy. The difference between the two worlds: the unsuccessful mindset says, when I feel my full mindset, I act because my matter more than my feelings. The unsuccessful mindset says, the successful mindset says, I am willing to build. The unsuccessful mindset moment. The successful mindset says, I create new action. The unsuccessful mindsets, I cannot control my stances. Successful mindsets, I can always control my response. This is the psychology of ownership. And ownership is where wealth begins. The three laws together. Now the pattern becomes clear. The first law: leverage. You cannot become wealthy by only exchanging time for money. You must multiply your efforts. You must build assets, skills, and influence. The second law: perception. You cannot build wealth by chasing appearances. You must understand the difference between looking powerful and becoming powerful. You must stop buying symbols and start building foundations. Third law: control. You cannot maintain wealth without mastering yourself. Because the greatest threat to your future is not the world outside you. It is the impulses inside you. Together, these three laws create a philosophy: control, perception, master yourself. This is the architecture behind lasting success. The uncomfortable truth about poverty: the most difficult thing about these laws is that they remove excuses. It is easier to believe that success is only about luck. It is easier to believe wealthy people have something you cannot access. It is easier to believe the game is impossible, because if the problem is outside of you, you do not have to change. But if the problem is your understanding, then you have responsibility, and responsibility is uncomfortable. But responsibility is also freedom, because anything you can influence, you can improve. The identity shift: the biggest transformation does not happen when someone earns more money. It happens when someone becomes a different person. A person who thinks differently. A person who sees opportunities differently. A person who understands human nature. A person who no longer asks, why is this happening to me? What can I learn from this? The poor mindset searches for someone to blame. The powerful mindset searches for something to build. The poor mindset wants guarantees. The powerful mindset understands uncertainty. The poor mindset wants permission. The powerful mindset creates opportunities. Your financial future is not only determined by what you know, it is determined by who you become. The two men and the same opportunity. Imagine two people receiving the same opportunity, the same information, the same amount of time, the same resources. The first person sees risk. They think about everything that could go wrong. They hesitate. They search for certainty. Years pass. The opportunity disappears. The second person sees uncertainty, but instead of fear, They see a challenge. They learn. They adapt. They failed. They fail. They impasse. Their life looks completely different. What changed? Not the opportunity. The opportunity was identical. What changed was the person. Final message: Machiavelli never promised people an easy path. He never claimed life was fair. He understood something much deeper. The world rewards those who understand reality, not those who simply wish reality was different. The 3 forbidden laws are not magic formulas. They are principles. Leverage teaches you how to multiply your effort. Perception teaches you how to understand human behavior. Control teaches you how to master yourself. Ignore them, and you may spend your life running faster while staying in the same place. Understand them, and you begin seeing the invisible structures that shape success. Why are some people successful? The betas. Am I building the mindset of someone who can handle success? Because wealth is not only something you acquire, it is something you become capable of creating. The world does not only belong to the strongest, it belongs to those who understand the game. If this video changed the way you see money, power, and nature, remember this: the greatest investment you will ever make is not in your bank account. It is in your mind, because money can disappear. Opportunities can disappear. Circumstances can change. But a disciplined mind that understands leverage, perception, and control can rebuild again and again. If you want more deep psychological lessons about wealth, power, philosophy, and the hidden rules that shape human success, subscribe to the channel. Join a community of people who are not searching for shortcuts. They are searching for understanding. Comment below: I choose mastery, because the first step toward changing your future is recognizing that your future is created